Even good financial plans break down over time, and most people don't see it coming. I'm not talking about plans that were bad from the start. I'm talking about plans that were actually solid when they were created. Good assumptions, reasonable projections, thoughtful strategies. But here's what happens. Life doesn't stay still. Your job changes, your health changes, tax laws change, your family situation changes, the market changes. And when your plan can't adapt to those changes, it stops working. Sometimes slowly, sometimes all at once. April and I want to walk you through why this happens and what you can do about it.
So let's start with why plans break down in the first place. Most financial plans are built like a snapshot. You sit down with an advisor, you share your current situation, your income, your assets, your goals, and they build a plan based on that moment in time. And that's fine. You need to start somewhere. But here's the problem. The plan assumes your life stays relatively the same. Same job, same income, same family situation, same health, same goals. And we all know that's not how life works. This is where people get stuck. They think, well, I have a plan, I did the work, I'm good. But a plan that doesn't evolve with your life isn't a plan anymore. It's just an old document in a drawer. Let me tell you about life transitions, because this is the number one thing that breaks financial plans. Divorce, remarriage, death of a spouse, adult children who need financial support, aging parents who need care. These aren't minor adjustments. These are fundamental changes to your financial life. Here's a scenario. Imagine a blended family. Both spouses have been married before. They each have kids from previous marriages. They built a solid retirement plan together, but then one of their adult children goes through a difficult divorce and needs financial help. Suddenly, they're supporting that child and grandchildren. Their original plan assumed they'd be focused entirely on their own retirement, not supporting multiple generations. Everything has to be rebuilt around what life actually looks like now, not what it looked like 5 years ago. This is why life transitions require plan updates, not just adjustments, but real rebuilds.
Tax laws change constantly, and most plans don't keep up. The Secure Act 2.0, changes to RMD ages, changes to Roth conversion rules. If your plan was built in 2019 and hasn't been updated, you're probably missing opportunities or using strategies that don't work anymore. Tax planning isn't something you do once. It's something you should revisit every year.
Now, here's something critical about market volatility. It doesn't usually break plans on its own. What breaks plans is how people react to volatility, and specifically when that volatility happens. The market drops 20%, and suddenly your plan feels shaky. You start second-guessing everything. You think, maybe I should move to cash. Maybe I should change my strategy. But if your plan assumes you'll stay invested through downturns and you panic and sell at the bottom, that's not a market problem, it's a behavior problem. And this is especially dangerous when it comes to sequence of returns risk. If you're retiring and the market drops in your first few years of retirement, that has a dramatically different impact than a drop that happens later. Now, this is where having a plan you actually trust becomes critical. Because if you don't trust your plan, if you don't understand why it's built the way that it is, you're going to abandon it the first time that things get scary. That's why we spend so much time on the why behind the plan, not just the what. When you understand why your plan is designed to handle volatility, you're far less likely to sabotage it when the market drops.
Health changes can completely derail a retirement plan, and most people don't build in enough flexibility for this. Maybe you plan to work until 65, but you have a health issue at 62 and you can't work anymore. Maybe your spouse needs long-term care. Maybe you have unexpected medical expenses that weren't in your budget. Health changes affect your plan in two ways: cost and timing. The costs are obvious: medical expenses, long-term care, medications. But the timing issue is what really gets people. If you retire earlier than planned because of health, you now have more years to fund. You have a gap before Medicare kicks in at 65. You might be forced to take Social Security earlier, which permanently reduces your benefit. If your plan doesn't have flexibility built in for these types of health scenarios, if it only works if everything goes perfectly, you're setting yourself up for trouble.
Goal drift is something people don't expect, but it's one of the most common reasons plans stop working. Your goals change. What you wanted at 50 is very different from what you want at 60. Maybe you thought you'd retire and travel constantly, but now you realize you'd rather be close to your grandkids. Maybe you thought you'd downsize and move to a smaller home, but now you've got a 3% or less mortgage, and like a lot of people, it doesn't make as much financial sense to move anymore. So you're staying put, which changes your whole budget and cash flow picture. Or, and this is a big one for blended families, your priorities around legacy change. You thought you wanted everything split equally among all the kids, but now you're realizing one child has significantly more needs than the others, or step-family dynamics are more complicated than you anticipated. If your plan doesn't reflect what you actually want anymore, you won't follow it. And here's the thing, changing your goals isn't a failure. It's normal, it's human, but your plan has to change with you.
So here's what all this comes down to. Life changes, tax laws change, markets change, health changes, goals change. Your plan has to change with it. And that doesn't happen automatically. It requires regular check-ins, not just when something is broken, but proactively, at least once a year, more often if your situation is complex or changing.
And here's what those check-ins can look like. It's not just, are we on track? It's, has anything changed in your life? Are your goals still the same? Are there new risks we need to plan for? Other opportunities we're missing? It's also about stress testing. What if the market drops 30%? What if you retire earlier? What if one of you needs care? Does the plan still work? Because the goal isn't a perfect plan, it's a resilience plan. One that can bend without breaking.
Here are some warning signs your plan might be breaking down. You haven't reviewed it in over a year. You've had a major change and haven't updated the plan. You're making financial decisions without thinking about how they fit the plan. You feel anxious about your finances even though you have a plan. If any of those sound familiar to you, it's time to revisit.
If you haven't updated your plan in over a year, or if you've had a major life change and your plan hasn't been adjusted, now's the time to schedule that review. Because good financial planning isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing partnership. Regular conversations about what's changing in your life and how your plan needs to evolve. That's what separates plans at work from plans that gather dust.
Because a good plan today is better than a perfect plan from 5 years ago. Life changes, your plan should change too.